everybody. Back to the inn. We're trying to finish up the UnGoro stuff.
There's a lot to go through.
There's still a lot to go through, but we're almost there. The light. We can. To start us off, Amber.
You just said Amber.
Darn it! Free from Amber. Free from Amber. You are free from Amber. I tell you, you are almighty free from Amber. It's an 8 cost priest spell. Discover a minion that costs 8 or more. Summon it. Alright. I look at this card. And I just want to take it, ball it up, put it in the trash. Like, what? As far as uses go, when it comes to free from Amber, what do I want from it that I can't get from Forbidden Shaping? And Forbidden Shaping just gives me any minion on curve at the cost of all my mana. Most of the time, I'm normally tapping and then casting the Forbidden Shaping to just get a good random 8 cost minion. Like, in Wild, I could see this because let's pull up 8 or more, and then I get to, like, scope through all, like, maybe I can grab, like, Kel'Thuzad, like a Ysera, but most of the time, it's gonna grab me a trash card. And, like, in very few instances am I gonna get a good card. So, if anything, I'm just gonna bag this up and trash it. Bob?
Well, I can maybe think of some potential here, but yeah, you're right. If you're playing a priest deck, and you're playing a priest spell, you're going to want to pick the particular high cost minion that best suits you, if you pick one at all. To be fair, probably something like Mind Control is more useful to priest than Free from Amber, because those spell slots are kind of precious, and you kind of want to use it to control your opponent, control the field more than just summon a really big minion. So it's cool. I like that the dragon that looks like the Mortal Kombat symbol, but in a lot of ways, Forbidden Shaping is just better overall. Has more versatility, and I just can't think of a time when you would want to use it in a deck as opposed to a better Control S card or just straight up the minion you want to use anyway. So, I think some people might experiment around it, but I'm even debating whether I'm going to even try using this anywhere.
I mean, the only other thing that I can even, like, remotely just throw out, just to kind of, like, throw one last point in, is just, hey, Yogg, Thunk, free from Amber, throw me a creature. That's about it.
Yeah, but we don't judge how good spells are by how good they are when Yogg casts them.
I know, and that's the thing. I was just mainly just throwing in just that last point. I'm just like, there's this, and then we just move on.
Mm-hmm. So next up we have Radiant Elemental, which is a 2-cost 2/3 Priest Elemental with the effect your spells cost 1 less. So it's essentially Sorcerer's Apprentice, but instead of being a 3/2, it's a 2/3, which is a better stat line for the effect anyway. And Priest is going to be more likely to just keep this thing alive. So this is going to be really good for a control type of priest deck. So if you're playing like a control priest that's very spell heavy, Radiant Elemental is really as a great card. I also love that as a common as compared to the Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is a rare. It's just a good overall card, and I like it. I think that control priest will definitely use it.
Oh my word. Radiant Elemental, like, one of the big weaknesses that, if anything, that Priest has had is not having really good 2-drops. This is amazing! I can drop this on 2, and if I draw into my Power Word Shield, I get to cast it on it and make it a 2/5, and get a free draw! Ah! It's so good! Like, I'm putting this in my very good slot area for Priest. So are we...
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Shellshifter. 4 cost. 3/3 minion for Druid. Choose one. Transform into a 5/3 with Stealth, or a 3/5 with Taunt. I like Shellshifter, because I think with his choose one, it'll also go alongside with the quest for Druid. Plus, him also being a 4 cost, being able to slap down a 3/5 with Taunt, and then at turn 5, I can slap down the Druid of the Claw for a 4/6 for Taunt. And just, hey. If I make it to where I have him out alongside of my Fandral somehow, I get a 5/5 with Taunt and Stealth, which isn't horrible.
Except it kind of is, because that makes the taunt useless.
For just that turn. Because then you can just go bop, and then, hey, I got 5. I got 5 on Taunt. Can't touch it. Nah, 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 nah. And then you can touch it. But anything, Bob, go.
This is better than Druid of the Claw. If
Really?
you're running Druid of the Claw, you're not running the Priest Quest deck or anything like that. And like I said, if you're running Shellshifter, you're not going to be running Fandral. Shellshifter is, I think, just a better overall card, because it has that taunt, which basically the whole point is to kind of stop your opponent anyway. And that's going to be your situational, but basically the main point is, when you pick 5/3 with Stealth, is you're activating that quest. It's a pretty decent card. If you're playing the quest deck, you do not play Druid of the Claw. You throw out Druid of the Claw, you play 2 Shellshifters, because Shellshifter is your Druid of the Claw replacement. If you are not playing the quest, then you can consider playing Druid of the Claw and leave Shellshifter out of it. And like I said, if you're playing the quest deck, you are not playing Fandral. But Shellshifter is pretty good for your quest deck. It's a decent cost minion that activates your quest, and it also allows you the ability that, if things are looking bad, you need to stall for a little bit. You can say, well, I'm not going to get a tick towards complete my quest, but I am going to stall them out for a little bit so that maybe I can do it next turn. So it's a really good card for Druid.
Yeah, it really is. I like it.
So next up, we have Lyra the Sunshard, which is the Priest Legendary. It's a 5-cost 3/5 Elemental, with the effect, whenever you cast a spell, add a random Priest spell to your hand. This is really a card that you have to build a deck around. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Control Priest. Maybe that will work, but I feel that the deck has to be a lot more specialized than just your straight-up Control Priest. You have to essentially build the deck around this. I mean, it could be cool. It could end up coming up with a really cool Priest archetype. Or maybe this is something you shift into Control Priest to get more options. But yeah, it's an interesting card, I think, for its own archetype. I'm not sure if that archetype is going to see play, though. That's the thing. Even though I think this is a cool card, I'm not sure if it will see play in its own archetype. If that makes sense, because I feel Priest is going to want to do some other stuff. It might see play in Control, but that's a big maybe, and Priest might choose to go other ways, or maybe not even run legendaries. So it's, like I said, it's a cool card. I'm just not sure where Priest is going to be going, and if the route it's going, the direction it's going, will include Lyra.
That last part, I can definitely agree on. Like, I see Lyra the Sunshard and, like, one of the devs made a big, like, to-do about it of being like, oh no, it might be too broken, or it might be too powerful, and I'm just sitting here going, just what? Just what? Are you kidding me? Like, this, how? I mean, cast a spell, get a random pre-spell. Some of the pre-spells, yeah, they're pretty nice. A lot of them, though, not so much.
And a lot of pre-spells, a lot of the nicer pre-spells cost a lot.
Yeah.
And really, are you going to be able to continually cast those high-cost pre-spells and keep this thing alive?
Yeah, and it's just like, so I mean, Lyra the Sunshard, I can see the benefits of running her, but at the same time, I'm just going to put it in playable right now. And that's where it'll sit for me. So, next up we have Giant Anaconda. 7 cost, 5/3 Druid Beast with a Death Rattle. Summon a minion from your hand with 5 or more attack. I'm just gonna be blunt and say it. Garbage. Toss it. Bulb.
The only thing I could see, only way for me to think it'd be playable is if for some reason you have not activated your quest by this point. And to be honest, you really should have activated your quest by this point. If you are playing this regularly, you are behind, and then maybe that's the only reason it gives you any sort of viability in your deck, is because it can essentially kind of give you 2 summon triggers. But other than that, once the quest is activated, this is a complete garbage card. So I don't think that you would include this in the quest card, just because that means that you're relying on your Death Rattle and you don't think you're going to get your quest off until way late in the game, where I think Druid will want to ramp up and get that quest done as quickly as possible. And so by putting this in your deck, you're banking on that not happening. Really, if you are banking on being able to pull off that quest, you're going to include a better high cost minion than Giant Anaconda. Next up, we have Tortollan Forager, which is a 2 cost 2/2 Druid minion with a battle cry. Add a random minion with 5 or more attack to your hand. I like this card. I know there's an argument that if you are running a Druid quest deck, that this is a too low cost of a minion to really see play, because you want the big minion drops and you want a ramp. But you know what? I really don't think this is it's a bad idea to include 2 of these in your deck and just get a little bit of extra. I'm a big fan of what I call controlled randomness. There's this big movement in the Hearthstone community of all randomness is bad. Hiss, burn Pavel at the stake. Guys, here's the thing. I agree with complete, utter, broken woohoo randomness can be too bad, but I think controlled randomness is very healthy for the game, and being able to utilize controlled randomness in your deck is going to be what separates okay players from the really good players. And this card gives you some more options to activate those quest triggers, because it could be a high cost minion that you want to play later, or it could be a lower cost minion that has 5 or more attack that allows you to trigger that quest sooner. So yes, you might be taking a little bit of a risk by including 2 of these in your quest deck, but it's a low cost minion that can test the board, and it helps get you closer to your win con. So it's a very good card.
Oh yeah. If anything, I'm a fan of the Tortollan Forager for the reasons of, yes, it does give me something to complete my quest. However, if I've already completed my quest, and I've dropped the card out, and he, for just some reason, pops up, oh hey, look, that's 2 free creatures on my board. Ta-da!
How's it 2 free creatures? Well, I mean,
You completed the quest.
Yeah, of course it's a 0 cost 2/2. And you'll have... Yeah, okay. Took me a moment there.
There you go, buddy. There you go, buddy. Just gotta have the train just go down the track. If anything's speaking on going down the track, I'm gonna move on to Earthen Scales. It's a 1-cost druid spell, which is give a friendly minion +1/+1, then gain armor equal to its attack. Oh, I both love and hate. Well, I won't say hate, but I both like and dislike this card at the same time. Because I like it because your friendly minion have +1/+1 and give me armor to be able to stack my health. Now, when we take a look at things in Druid itself, Feral Rage at 3 just gives me the idea of, okay, I can go either 8 armor or 4 attack. Both if Fandrel's on board. This is just give a minion +1/+1 and then gain armor for the attack. So I like it because, okay, I get armor. But I also don't like it because it's just like, it's reliant on what creature I can get and keep on the board for it at the time. So it's like, what am I going to run it in? Am I going to run it in something like Big Booty Druid? Or, like, is this going to be something that Jades could potentially pick up? Because it makes it to where I can target my Jade creature and give it +1/+1 while also giving me armor to be able to last a little longer in the game. So, I mean, Bob, can you give me a better sell on it?
I'm not sure. I mean, there's a good case to be made that for 1 drop, getting armor to essentially be kind of like those spells is very, very powerful. But again, you have a good point about where you go to include this. You're not going to include this in Jade, guys. It's not going to happen. Because Jade needs very specific things when you're casting spells, and that's either card draw or a little bit of board control. This does not do that. Maybe you include this in your Ramp Druid just to play on those higher cost minions, just to give you some health. I guess you have to have a game plan. I mean, I can see this possibly being put into, I don't know, a Token Druid deck, but again, each time I think, well, what about this deck? I keep on going, well, when you're looking at spells for these different type of decks, what's your end goal? What's your game plan here? And I can't think of any game plan that really calls for Earthen Scales. This feels like something where you have a gap in your deck that you're trying to fill in spell-wise, and you might just say Earthen Scales. It does not feel essential to any deck I can think of. I mean, it has a good effect. I'm not going to say it doesn't have a good effect, but I can't think of a deck that really needs it.
Yeah, and it's just like, on one end, I know you say that Jades won't run it, and I agree, but at the same time I just go, could they potentially run a one-of it just for that, you know, late game area of, hey, I've got a huge Jade on, boop, give me health. And, I mean, if anything, you're right. The fact that they need board clear. We're losing mulch. So if anything, we're going to have to find mulch's replacement as well as the Azure Drake's replacement. Now, don't get me wrong, I've already found my replacements. So, like, it's just now going, what do you do with the spell? And I don't know. I don't think we can find the answer out for it. So...
yeah, it's just going to take some experimentation, that's all. So next up we have Air Elemental, which is a 1-cost 2/1 Shaman Elemental minion with the ability can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. This is a very good 1-drop. It's definitely going to be... It's a must-play in Elemental Shaman. For the cost, it might just be a must-play in Shaman in general. I'm sorry. I know we've talked at length about Shaman mid-range being a parasitic deck, but I have a feeling that even though there's a lot of Shaman cards that they're not going to be able to latch onto, this will be the one that the Shaman decks will latch onto. Mainly because you can't kill it with something like the Mage Hero Power. So it's a good card. I like this card. But if you hated Shaman, yeah, expect to see a lot of this card.
Oh, if you hated Shaman, if any... The next basically almost whole line of cards, because most are elementals that are coming up. Some fall elsewhere, but most are elementals. Shaman is getting a huge boost where elementals are concerned, and this is going to be their go-to 1-drop in the elemental deck. Because of, I can't hit that with the Mage tap power. So the only thing that's going to be able to kill it are Rogue and the Druid tap power. You're taking 1 from Druid, and you're taking 2 from Rogue. Because, you know, Druid being able to give itself 1 armor along with it, but Air Elemental, really good. And you're going to see it in a lot of Shaman decks as a strong 1-drop. Next elemental down the line is Volatile Elemental. It's a 2-cost neutral 1/1 with the Death Rattle. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy minion. I will say this with Volatile Elemental. You're not playing it on an empty board. If you play it on an empty board, it's just going to get tapped and killed. Play it on a little bit more of a full board, it's got a good chance of hitting something you don't like, or being able for you to run it into something and then killing it. As far as elemental decks go and running it, I could see potentially Mage running it, because around like turn 4, just going drop, tap, kill this, deal 3 damage if they need to. I can see the Elemental Shamans running it because it's a nice 2-drop. But I know that one of the other 2-drops that we'll be talking about in just a little bit is going to be a lot more important to Shaman. Bulb.
I mean, we've talked about the elemental stuff. I mean, it's definitely going to be considered to be played in elemental decks. But I'm going to point out that Death Rattle, this could also be played very heavily in Death Rattle decks, just because dealing 3 damage to a random enemy minion is a huge ability. It's a really good ability. So just for the Death Rattle alone, I can see this being ran in non-elemental decks. Maybe even, I'm thinking Death Rattle specific decks. I'm thinking about my Necromancer deck. This is definitely one of those cards that, from this expansion I'm going to be looking at possibly placing into Necromancer to basically do some heavy damage. So I really like this card. It's good for elemental decks. It's good for Death Rattle decks. Heck, it might even be considered to be slotted in for other types of decks as well, just because I think the Death Rattle is that good. So it's a pretty good card. Next up, we have the Mage quest, which is Open the Waygate. The quest is to cast 6 spells that didn't start in your deck, and the reward is Time Warp. Now, Time Warp is a 5-cost spell that allows you to take an extra turn. So they're making a pretty much random spell mage, basically getting spells that didn't start in your deck, stuff from Babbling Book and Cabal Tome and the like, and there's gonna be more cards like that, and they're making that a feature. It's a weird quest. I'm not sure this is the type of quest Mage really want or need. I think Mage just kind of got shuffled off to the side and had no idea what to do with it. And it has a very powerful reward if you have an idea what to do with that reward. If you're setting up like a OTK type of combo, I think this is going to be a quest that you can experiment with. But I'm just thinking about the type of decks. Me personally, I'm thinking about the type of decks I'm running. I'm thinking of Randomonium and Wild, and I'm thinking of my Spell Damage Mage and Standard. I can't think of any reason why I would want to play this card. Even in Randomonium, where basically the whole deck runs off of me just getting random crap. I see no reason why I would want to play that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll change my mind. I just keep on going, is an extra turn really that beneficial for me? It might be. But I feel that you have to have an end game going into your second turn. And I think that would involve crafting the mage decks and the archetypes in very specific ways that I'm not sure that we've seen as of yet. So there's a lot of people gushing about the quest reward, which is a big reward, but without any general plan to use that reward to outright gain an advantage and or kill your opponent. It's a reward that's essentially not going to help you at all and probably going to hurt you because you're going to lose a lot of the answers in your deck by just trying to get use out of it by just throwing a bunch of spells in the face, which might not mean anything in the long run. So I'm torn on this quest. I think Eddie loves this quest. Until I actually see the archetypes, I'm not sure this quest is as good as people think it is.
Oh, buddy, if anything, I loved it. I really do. I'm already on the hype train for calling the decks that center around this quest the Rocky Horror Mage quest, or Rocky Horror Mage decks. Because of the dang Time Warp reward card and just, you can see where the logic goes. But if anything, I've already got a list built for this deck. Yes, it is an OTK. And plus, there's also the ideal of you can control the board, or at least control the game state, a la a freeze mage style, and being able to keep yourself alive long enough to be able to crack this quest and be able to just go off. Now, right now, for me, it's a turn 10 play, but it would be Archmage, Coin, Time Warp, and if I don't already have enough for it, I should, by the time that I go to kick this Time Warp off, of having both giants on board of Arcane Giant. Click the end turn button, my turn starts again, of course. Just on board alone, I have 21 damage. I have 2 fireballs in hand from the 2 coins, and then another one from my Time Warp. If my opponent is not dead after taking 33 damage, the only way this happens is if you're playing Control Warrior or you're playing the new Amara quest. And with the next card that I'm getting ready to discuss, I can discover another fireball for 2.
But see, that's the entire point that I was trying to make is, I don't think this really slots into any deck any traditional mage deck as we think it. You have to basically craft a deck with that with an in game like that in mind. You have to come up with some sort of time warp in game.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are gushing over it without realizing this does not slot into how you typically will play mage. You have to throw out a lot of what you know and do something completely different. And because of that, I'm not sure it's as powerful a quest as a lot of the other ones.
People are already crafting and thinking about this deck as a whole. People are trying to figure out, like, oh, hey, I can make it work with Alexstrasza because of just going into the turn where you're using Time Warp and your 2 giants, as well as potentially throwing down Alexstrasza either before Time Warp, depending. Actually, no, it would be after Time Warp. Because you Time Warp, then start your next turn, Alexstrasza your opponent down as far as their health goes, slam the 2 giants in, and then game. So there's a ton of in-game potential that people are already thinking of with the deck. It's figuring out exactly what list is going to be consistent. That's the big key that people are trying to figure out with. It's like, what is going to be consistent and actually make it work?
Yeah, but if anything, this is going to be like a freeze mage-esque deck where, it's not going to be played widely. I still don't think this is the most powerful quest, and this is going to be the most widely played quest.
Oh, no, not by a mile. Like, I say as far as go, that'll be the Hunter one. But that's different debate, different time.
Yeah.
I am going to shift into Primordial Glyph, which is a card that definitely helps with Open the Waygate. It's a 2-cost mage spell that is discover a spell and reduce its cost by 2. I love it. Give me this Primordial Glyph. It's your unstable portal for spells. And if anything, you can discover a Primordial Glyph, which then will let you discover whatever else after that. And if you want to play something like Casino Mage at this point, you're not going to go wrong with Primordial Glyph and discounting your spells going forward. Bulb.
Yeah, I really like this spell. As soon as I saw this, I'm like going, oh my word. Randomonium is very happy, and I'm probably also going to include this in my other mage deck as well. I mean, this is a really good card. It's not completely random because it's Discover, so you do have a bit of control there, and it's a discount spell. So yeah, this is a really good card. It's going to see a lot of play. So next up we have Plume Harbinger, which is a 2-cost 1/1 Shaman Elemental with a battle cry. Reduce the cost of elementals in your hand by 1. This is going to be a key component of Elemental Shaman, and you can't just play this, I think, a lot of times on turn 2. I mean, you can, but I think you will also need to consider how to best time it to discount your more expensive elementals in hand. That way you can possibly combo into them sooner. I think that you play 2 of in your elemental decks, and it's going to be a key component there. So it's definitely going to be one you're going to be seeing a lot with players playing Elemental Shaman.
Yeah, this card is too good to not include a 2 of in your Elemental Shaman deck. Dropping those elementals in your hand by 1, so good, so good. If anything, I will shift into Igneous Elemental, 3-cost, 2/3 neutral elemental, if you can tell. Death Rattle, add 2 1/2 elementals to your hand. It's going to help any elemental archetype going forward. You're going to be using it. Bulb.
Yeah, the Death Rattle here is what is going to make this a big consideration, a big part of elemental decks, because it gives you more elementals to play to basically prime up your later game elementals. And you want to have several different cards that give you those 1/2 elementals, because they basically help you set things up. So basically, if you have to take an off turn to take care of something on the board, to basically control your opponent's board a bit, you have a 1/2 elemental they can play to basically, again, prime up the elemental for next turn. So this is going to be a very important elemental. It's definitely going to see play. Next up, we have Shimmering Tempest, which is a 2-cost 2/1 mage elemental with the Death Rattle. Add a random mage spell to your hand. This is very good. Whether you're playing Elemental Mage, which I really don't think is really going to be that big of a thing now that we've seen all the cards, but I think if you're playing your Time Warp Mage, this is going to be a key card. And I'm also looking, as far as my decks go, it's going to be a key card that's going to be slotted back into Randomonium, just to give yourself more options. I think just any mage deck, that if you need something in the 2-cost range or 2-slot range, you might want one extra minion, and you also already have Babbling Book, you might want to consider this, just because more options when it comes to spells is always nice. So this is definitely going to see a lot of play.
Shimmering Tempest, definitely going to be used for that Open the Waygate quest. As far as Elemental Mage goes, if anything, I've got a list that I want to test out. I can't remember if Shimmering Tempest made the cut for it, but being able to just add a random mage spell to your hand, very powerful, very good, and very useful. Next up, we've got Stormwatcher. 7-cost, 4/8, neutral elemental with Wind Fury. Alright. As far as this goes, it's got a nice big body, which I like, especially with the Wind Fury effect. So it doesn't die as easily as most of the other Wind Fury creatures have went. But as far as actually playing it goes, I highly doubt. So this, to me, realistically is pack filler and filler for elemental neutrals for the set. Bulb.
Yeah, if you're playing an elemental deck, chances are if you're playing an elemental deck, you're playing Shaman at this point. There are much better 7 or high-cost elementals out there that you really do not need Stormwatcher. I don't really foresee this thing a lot of play, so yeah, sorry. Next up, we have Hot Spring Guardian, which is a 3-cost 2/4 Shaman elemental with Taunt and the Battle Cry, destroy 3 health. I kind of like this one.
Destroy 3 health? Restore
3 health.
Thank you.
Destroy 3 health. Boom! What do you say now, Warlock? Your max health... you lost 3 health, and your max health now is 27. Man, that would be broken. 3-cost 2/4 Taunt, Battlecry, restore 3 health. I like this, but I kind of like... I like that as a defensive option for Elemental Shaman. I'd have to look at all of the Elemental Shaman, those cards in general, because there might be this might be a contested slot. But I think at least maybe consider running a 1-of this card just so that you get 3 health back, and that taunt is going to be enough to kind of keep you to kind of hold the board. But this may be a crowded slot. I'd have to actually look. I'm actually going to do that real quick.
If anything, I'll kind of pick up with the review while you do that. When it comes to the 3-cost slot, yes, there's a lot there. Like, you've got Lightning Storm, Hex. If you want to run Manatide Totem, you're gonna run it because it's your draw. You've also got the 3-cost Death Rattle Minion that we just reviewed to be put into that slot. So it's heavily compact. However, given the effect of being a taunt and battle cry of restore 3 health, this puts aggro anything on the back foot. Because you can not only run 2 of this, but you can also discover like a 3rd copy of it through the Servant of Calamos. So, if anything, I really, really love this card for Elemental Shaman because it's going to give it the legs and power for sustain. So...
yeah, I just went back and looked. The 3-cost slot for Elemental decks, I'm just looking at Elemental decks, and I'm not considering spells, I'm just considering minions, is not that crowded. You essentially have this and Igneous Elemental if you're running Elementals at all. So that's not a big deal. You might be considering, I think, running...
Tar Creeper?
No. Let me look real quick, make sure I got the name right. I think you might, if you're considering running Tolvir Stone Shaper, maybe this isn't as big a sell because you might have a 3-cost elemental anyway, and that's going to go into a Taunt and Divine Shield. But I think this is not bad at least running one of, just maybe even later in the game, just to restore 3 health. It's a good, decent, low-cost primer. It has Taunt, it restores health. I just think it's decent overall. And I think it's going to be a good one for consideration for your Elemental Shaman deck.
I personally prefer 2, but that's just me. Next up, we got Frozen Crusher, 6-cost, 8/8 Elemental. It's a neutral, and after you have this minion attack, or after this minion attacks, freeze it. Okay. Are we at least potentially attempting to give Purify / Mean Priest something as far as an elemental archetype goes? Because elsewise, this is filler and this is garbage. Bulb.
I can't really see anybody playing this. I think that the downside is just going to be too much for some people. Even though it's a 6-cost 8/8, I think a lot of people will go, I have better things I can play in the 6-cost slot, especially if I'm playing an elemental deck. I don't think this is going to see any play. Next up, we have Tidal Surge, which is a 4-cost Shaman spell that deals 4 damage to a minion and restores 4 health to your hero. I can see this being played over Jade Lightning. I can see this I think this might mean... I think maybe how do I know? Shamans may actually continue to play Jade Lightning just to get the extra body on board, but I think if Shaman is going to go the way I think it's going to go, I think that Jade Shaman is going to go up by itself, and mid-range is just going to start collapsing. And I don't think mid-range is really going to want to run much of a Jade package, and that will make Jade Shaman something more unique and distinct, which is what I think it should be. In light of that, I mean, Jade Lightning has been essentially the whole reason it was ran, and the reason you were running the Jade package alongside it was because Jade Lightning was so powerful. Tidal Surge does the same thing as Jade Lightning. You're not getting a minion, but I think if Shaman is relegating the Jades off by themselves, which I think they will, then Tidal Surge essentially replaces that card and gives you a health restoring option as well, which Shaman is losing some of that. So I think it takes some of what Shaman wants, which is, I think they wanted the damage of Jade Lightning without necessarily having to summon a Jade that they might not care about using, and it gives them health back as well. So this is, I think, in general, this is a very good damage this is a very solid damage option for Shaman. I think we're going to see this start actually replace Jade Lightning in most Shaman decks. So this is a card that's going to see a lot of play.
I'm going to be completely on the other side of this and say that this, when it comes to, depending on what you want to do with Shaman, this isn't going to replace Jade Lightning, because Jade Lightning just allows you to just go face. In perfect honesty, this right here, deal 4 damage to a minion, is what the effect of Jade Lightning should have been to begin with. And then you can get your Jade. Instead of just, oh, burst to the face, burst to the face. With Tidal Surge, this gives you more of a control option. Now, for me, I think this sees play in the more elemental shaman side of things. Because it's just 4 damage, I target, I heal. It gives me more sustain to be able to stay in this game. So that's where I see it falling.
Here's the thing, though. You basically see Shaman tends to use Jade Lightning more often to destroy a minion rather than hit face. Yes, it can hit face, but just because it can doesn't mean that's how it's used. Tidal Surge basically is what Jade Shaman is used for, what Jade Lightning is used for, and I really do think this card is going to supplant Jade Lightning. I really do, because I do think mid-range Shaman is going to start changing. Either it's going to completely change how it works to become more mid-range, and if you're becoming more mid-range, you probably want Tidal Surge, and I really think Jade Lightning's going to go and be more closely associated with Jade Shaman. I think Jade Shaman is going to become an archetype by itself and not be incorporated into mid-range. And if that's happening, then that means Jade Lightning is going to be migrating as well, because now Shaman has has options. I think most Shaman players are going to pick Tidal Surge, because I think a lot of Shaman players are going to start planning for the long game, and for the long game, you need health and you need control. You do not need the 1/1 minion. So I think I'm right. I think we're going to see less Jade Lightning. We're going to see more Tidal Surge.
Counter to that would be that you can also, at the 4 slot, or the mid-range Shaman, you could run Jinyu Water Speaker and have a 3/6 on the board, and heal 6. Yes, Tidal Surge can target one of your minions, or at least target a minion and deal 4 damage to it, but I get something to smack, or at least be able to kind of like have at least a decent body for smacking, and an overload 1.
I can see them running both. I just don't. I think you're wrong with Jade Lightning, though. I think it's going to be replaced with Tidal Surge.
We'll see how the meta shapes out. Next up, we've got Fire Plume Phoenix. 4 cost, 3/3 neutral elemental with a battle cry, deal 2 damage. It's a free ping of 2 damage. I like it. Especially if you're wanting to potentially just go full on, like, aggro elemental, which you can do with something like Mage, or just, if you just want to be like, ping that 2 damage to that creature. No. Like, especially that spell type totem. No. You're not allowed to add that. Boom.
One second, you can cut this part out.
Okay.
I'm checking something real quick.
Stupid gnat.
Okay. This will not see play. This will not see play because you do not play Ironforged Rifleman and you do not play Stormpike Commando. I don't care if you think you can go aggro elemental. Elemental decks have better options for these slots, and the battle cry is just not what they're looking for. This card will not see play. Maybe in Arena, but not in Constructed. I feel that you have an argument for me. I'm just waiting for it.
No, if anything, I'll definitely let you hold that side.
I mean, I'm really curious why you think it will see play, because I looked at this, I'm going, I'm not seeing anything that would really make me want to play it, or any players want to play it. I don't see this being played.
I can understand that. I'm just more or less going with Elemental or drop. Deal 2 damage to something. Okay. Turn 5. Hey, look, another Elemental. Or like Servant of Kalamos.
Also the fact it's a 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's understated for its cost. That's going to be important, dude. Especially for elementals. I don't think it sees play here at all. Anyway, next up we have Meteor, which is a 6-cost mage spell. Deal 15 damage to a minion and 3 damage to adjacent ones. Also known as the "you big thing, I really, really hate you," and the other guys can probably die as well. This is really solid removal to get rid of really big things. And there are a lot of really big things in the set. So I guess for the set, this is kind of what Mage wants, but 15 damage is kind of big. 15 damage is something that I try to work up to in spell damage. I'm thinking, if I put this into deck, in Mage deck, I'm putting this in spell damage, and holy crap, the amount I can get up to in spell damage will be nuts. That I'm just going, part of me likes this card, because this is pretty much I really don't like you, kill you, and if I'm running spell damage, I most likely kill your buddies as well, which I kind of like. But part of me also wonders, is Blizzard better? But then again, the idea of just getting rid of a big thing, boom, you're dead. Doesn't matter. I mean, I think 15 damage might be a bit excessive, but it's essentially telling you can kill any big thing you want, and if you can pump it up enough, you can kill the things right by them. I hate to say it, but part of me kind of likes this card. It's my golden ticket to kill any dinosaur I want, except for the druid one.
I love your enthusiasm. However, when it comes to Meteor, yes, it is that "you big thing, die. Die, 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 die." To be perfectly honest, I don't think it sees play, because Blizzard is infinitely better than actual Meteor.
Yeah, I think you're right in that regard, because I think more people will want to actually run Blizzard just for the consistency. But I do have to admit, I have a soft spot here. I might consider running this, but if nothing else, this is not a bad thing to get as a random spell. Just having that option to kill a really big thing.
Oh yeah, like getting it from like Cabalist Tome or B-Book or the Death Rattle thing, Elemental. Yeah, sure. But as far as actually going out of my way to pack it in my deck or trying to find a slot for it, no.
Yeah, I think that's where we're standing here is I think we're both kind of agreeing it's probably not going to see wide play as far as being put in your deck. But I don't think this is a bad card, even though.
Even though.
Yeah, I still, even given all that you're most likely not going to put in a deck, I don't think this is a bad card. I think this is a pretty cool card.
Yeah, it is. So next up, we have Primalfin Champion. 2-cost, 1/2 Paladin Murloc with the Death Rattle. Return any spells you cast on this minion to your hand. So this is the card that we're going to be using as our big-time fodder for being able to complete the last Kaleidosaur quest.
Pretty much.
Really, yeah, it's really nice, and plus it recycles your spells, or spells, unless it gets like polymorphed, hexed, or anything like that. But other than that, yeah, really nice.
Yep. This is essentially your quest card. So, I mean, Murloc Paladin doesn't exist anymore, but I don't think that matters for this card. So, decent card, and yeah, it's going to see a lot of play for those who are playing the Kaleidosaur quest. Next up, we have Adaptation, which is a 1-cost Paladin spell that adapts a friendly minion. I think this sees play, mainly because I'm looking at if they're going the Buffeted route, if they're going the Kaleidosaur route. This is a very easy card to play. It gives a decent buff through Adapt, and it just helps you just tick off to get to Galvadon a lot quicker. So yeah, in that regards, I think it will see play in the quest decks. Outside the quest decks, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are considering Adapt Adapt favorably. So in that regard, I don't think people will play it because I don't think a lot of people really care for Adapt. But I mean, it's a cheap card, so who knows? Depending on what deck you're playing, this might not be a bad card to include.
Cheap card, can adapt a minion to potentially find something I need. Definitely going into the quest area, but outside of that, how we looking?
Outside of that?
As far as like with adaptation and everything, I'm good.
Yeah.
But how we looking?
So, we're going to end with Devilsaur Egg, which is a 3-cost 0/3 minion with the Death Rattle, summon a 5/5 Devilsaur. To be fair, I've never really been in love with these type of cards. I wasn't a big fan of I can't say I was a big fan. I wasn't really in love with Nerubian Egg, but I respected Nerubian Egg. The big difference for me is without any way to really either get your opponent to attack into it or to basically buff it up so that it can attack, the egg's going to sit useless on your side of the field. However, for both Nerubian Egg and Devilsaur Egg, I think the Death Rattle is a nut that this is going to see play. This is going to see play for the exact same reason Nerubian Egg sees play. And as an egg, it's a lot better than freaking Runic Egg. This card is going to see play. This card is going to be decent in the decks that can use it. I don't think every deck should use it. I honestly don't think Death Rattle should use it because Death Rattle is really not going to have the ability to get enemies to either attack into it or to buff it. But if you can do either of those, this is a very solid card with a very scary Death Rattle, and it's going to see play.
Yeah, if anything, like, if you can buff this, like, through, like, if you want to play it with Hand Buff Paladin, I highly doubt you're going to play it through Hand Buff Paladin, but, I mean, hey, it's an idea. Druid, or if you just drop it down and then just smack it with Defender of Argus, you make your opponent have to figure out, how am I going to get around this damn thing? Either by throwing all the minions at it, making it where the big Devilsaur pops out, or you go and like have to blow a polymorph on it so you don't have to deal with the 5/5 Devilsaur. But yeah, I mean, the thing is nice. It'll see play somewhere. As far as where, no clue.
Okay. So, we will see you next time, guys, when we will continue talking about the rest of the expansion. See you guys then.